Hello everyone, welcome back to another informative video. So we're at the time when we seek to answer a frequently asked question. And of course this is related to crop production. And the frequently asked question for today is, why do plant leaves curl? So physiological leaf rolling is basically caused when either the temperature is too high, there is not enough water, the plant is not getting enough water. Those things can cause, those environmental factors can cause physiological leaf roll. When you have physiological leaf roll, they normally correct themselves when these conditions become more optimal, right? And the plants get a little more relaxed and comfortable. Then you will see them rolling out back their leaves, right? But if it is that you consistently have your plants, like for example in high temperatures, high heat, you'll find that the problem will be more consistent. You will have leaf roll most of the time, and if you don't correct this temperature factor or the seed factor, you find that it will be the leaf roll will be consistent. So you might be hearing maybe other YouTubers and so on saying that it is not, you don't have to worry about anything if you have these kind of leaf rolling. Of course, leaf rolling is something that you need to worry about, because if it is not, if what causes the leaf roll is not corrected, then you will find that this can severely affect the photosynthesis process, right? The photosynthetic capability of the plant, because when the plant leaves are rolled up, the surface area that should be exposed to the sun decreases. And once the surface area decreases, that means the amount of photosynthate that the plant make will reduce, and that will affect the amount of energy that the plant will be ultimately get to kind of sustain growth and development. So obviously one of the other main thing is insect. Insects can definitely cause your leaves to roll. So as a farmer or as a backyard gardener, you need to observe the plant. Go to your plant, observe it, look on the underside of the leaf, because insects love the underside of the leaf, right? Or if the leaf curl upward, sometime when you open the leaf, you will find the insects inside, right? Because we have insects that are sucking insects, and once they infest your plant leaves, they will suck the leaves up and suck out all those juice. I'm trying to present this information as simple as possible so you can understand. The insects will suck that leaves up and basically suck the juice from the plant leaves, and cause the leaves to ultimately curl and cause other leaves to basically reduce or stop from developing. And you find that the apical part of the plant, the apical meristem, it just kind of stop growing, and you don't have that new growth. So what I'm trying to say is that you go and you look on your plant, observe to see if you see any insects where the leaves are rolling. Observe to see if you see any insects. If you see insects, then you can write down that observation and say, okay, it is a possibility that this leaf roll could be caused from insects. So you have to basically eliminate certain factors, right? If you know that the environmental factors are okay, your temperature is all right, your water is all right, plant is getting enough sunlight and not too much, then you basically say, okay, then let me eliminate those factors, right? I mean, you go and you look on your leaf now and you definitely see insects on it, then you say, okay, well, it's a possibility that the leaves might be curling because of the insects. So what you want to do is just try and get rid of those insects. It could be that it was the insects that have been the problem. So you just get rid of them. The key thing is that you are observing and you are seeing what is happening, right? You are seeing what is happening. Now, if the insects were not there, then and your leaves are rolling up, then you would have concluded that, okay, I'm not seeing any insects, then okay, then let me check the environmental factors. Let me check to see if it is getting enough water. Let me check to see if it is getting enough sunlight or too much sunlight. And let me see if it is basically, if the time is too hot, and so on. So, you just basically kind of weigh these things, look at these things and try to eliminate, right? You don't see any insects, that means, and guess what? In looking for these insects, you want to ensure that you have a magnifying glass. So you have your magnifying glass. Let me see if I can find one. Let me see if I can find a magnifying glass. Right. So here is a magnifying glass, right? This is called a magnifying glass. So it has the magnifying glass in it. So you just basically lift up your leaf and you look through your magnifying glass, and it will basically magnify the size of whatever insects are there. So some of them you cannot see them with the naked eye, so you use a magnifying glass. Right? This is something that every gardener, every farmer needs to have, because every morning when you go to scout, you need to check, you need to look. Oh, I got this one from AgriTech, basically, right? So this is actually a good thing to have in your collection and basically in your pocket when you are going to scout your plants. So we move on to another factor, which is viruses. Viruses are obviously something that can affect plants, and it depends on the plant that you are planting. Like for example, let us look at tomato, right? There is a virus called tomato yellow leaf curl virus. It basically causes the leaves to get yellow, and it causes the leaf to have this kind of mosaic and yellow looking, hence the name yellow leaf curl virus, and it causes the leaves to curl also, right? And you'll normally see this kind of curling at the topmost part of a plant, at the apical part of the plant. You'll find that the younger leaves get deformed and growth stops. You know, and insects are vectors. Well, some insects, like, let me think of, like whitefly, aphids, those are two common ones, right? They can transmit virus, and they can transmit the tomato yellow leaf curl virus from one tomato plant to the next, right? And so that is something that you would have to be aware of. You would have to know the symptoms, know what to look for when you are observing for tomato yellow leaf curl virus. You know, once you are seeing whitefly or aphids or, you know, any kind of vector you observe on the plant, it's a possibility that they are the ones transmitting or infecting the plant for it to catch a virus. So you can know that if your plant, if you are seeing insects on your plant, it is good to always observe to see if you see any virus, right? Any patterns of virus on your plants. So don't just say, okay, then the plant has insects on it. It could be the insects sucking the leaves and causing it to curl. You should also note that the insect can infect the plant with a virus, and the virus can cause the leaf to curl. So right there, we have spoken about the environmental factors, we have spoken about insect, we have spoken about virus, right? So what I'm doing here, guys, if you see what I'm doing, I'm trying to put all these different factors into perspective, so that when you go to scout or you go to look on your plants, you will know what to look for. Leaf roll can also be caused from fusarium wilt, right? And it can also be caused from bacterial wilt. So you have fusarium wilt and you have bacterial wilt. Obviously, bacterial wilt is caused from a bacteria. Fusarium wilt is caused from a fungal infestation, right? And these are all coming from the soil. So they basically infect the root. They can basically kill the roots of the plants. Once the roots of the plants are being deteriorated, then the plant cannot absorb enough water and nutrients to continue or to sustain the form of the leaves or the form of the plant. So as I said, it is up to you to observe the plant. You know, when a field agent or an extension officer come and check out your plants, they cannot just look, or they don't just look on one aspect to say, okay, I'm seeing leaf roll, it is an insect. They have to go through this system of thinking, right? The system of thinking. We cannot just use one thing to say, okay, that is causing it. We have to let us conclude that it is this one thing when we observe and check for other things, right? Most of the time when you see leaf roll, it is most of the time it is caused from environmental factors like sunlight, water, right, and temperature. You know, most of the time temperature gets high, and the plant just, you know, in an effort to kind of conserve on the water that it has inside, it, you know, it rolls up the leaves and kind of, you know, reduce the surface area that is exposed to the sun, you know, for transpiration to occur, so it loses less water. So it does that, you know, in an effort to protect itself from high water loss. So my thing is, in order to kind of control and prevent this, you have to be tight on management practices. Those farmers that are indoors, you know, can basically have a little bit more control. You know, if you are doing greenhouse, you know, obviously you are controlling CO2. You are controlling almost all the environmental factors. You are controlling CO2, you are controlling water, you are controlling temperature, you are controlling relative humidity, you know, you are controlling ventilation, airflow. So you basically have control. So if you are a greenhouse farmer, it is basically easier to kind of control leaf roll that is caused from, like, physiological leaf roll that is caused from environmental factors. You know, but being outdoors, you basically, outdoors, and when I say outdoors, I mean you are exposed to all the environmental elements. You know, it's basically hard to control leaf roll. You will basically, because if the temperature goes up, you know, there are certain cultural practices that you can use to kind of reduce the effect, you know, other than using a shade over the plant. You could basically do mulching that can basically keep the root zone cool, kind of retain some more moisture in the soil, so the plant will have more moisture to basically uptake. So you find that it would not be too fast to get stressed and cause leaf roll. Plant varieties, if you know that a crop that you're planting is known for catching certain virus, plant varieties that are resistant to certain virus, right? Plant those resistant varieties, you know, that will give you added prevention against certain virus. And you know, ensure that your watering regime, or the amount of water you give to your plants, ensure that that is basically always on time, and you're not allowing your plants to get dried out and water stress, because once it is getting water stress, you will definitely have some kind of leaf roll. And another thing is, always scout. I have a video on my channel about scouting. You need to check that out. It's really a good video. It's not just me talking. I am basically demonstrating a scouting process, and we really found some, you know, some abnormal things while doing that scouting process that I did. So just look on my channel and you will see a video. I'll basically put it in the cards. So you just check out the cards here, and you will see the scouting video. So once again, thank you for tuning into this video, and as always, please remember to subscribe to this channel. See you again.